the order of operations, our good old PEMDAS. And this is how I like to write it, so we really understand. So we know the P stands for parentheses, E stands for exponents, M and D stand for multiplication and division, A and S addition and subtraction, and we do these steps left to right, and that'll make more sense when we start doing some examples. So this is the order you tackle a problem when asked to simplify it. So if we zoom in over here, just to 3 squared minus 5, we have to ask ourselves, do we subtract 3 minus 5, or do we deal with this 3 and the little 2, which is an exponent? So do we subtract, or do we do the exponent? According to PEMDAS, the E comes before our S, so we need to do the exponent. 3 to the second power is not 3 times 2. That technically is whatever number this is times itself, that number. 3 times 3 is 9. And now 9 minus 5 is 4. Over here, we have to decide, are we going to do 18 divided by 3, 3 divided by 3, 18 minus 3? What are we going to do? So this is where it gets a little bit confusing. When we get to fractions, before we do any of our multiplying and dividing, we want to get one number in the numerator and one number in the denominator before we move on. So I'm going to go ahead and do 18 minus 3 to get 15 over 3. And now I have one number on the numerator and denominator, so now I can divide to get our 5. But when it comes to fractions, treat the numerator separate and the denominator kind of separate until you get one number, so then you can divide. Over here, we now have a parentheses. So we're going to start with the P. So if I sort of zoom in there, I see that fraction once again. So before I do anything else, I need one number on top and one number on bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and do 1 plus 8 is 9. I'm still in my parentheses step. I'm not done with my parentheses step until there's one number in there. 9 divided by 3 is 3. There's nothing in between that number and parentheses, so this stands for multiplication. 4 times 3 is 12. Now let's start making these a little more complicated. So we're going to start with the P step. The parentheses only counts if there's more than one number inside. That only has 1 3 inside, that only has a 6 inside, so I'm not going to do that as part of my parentheses step. Parentheses only really applies when you have more than one number that you need to deal with, like 5 minus 2. So I'm going to write 3 times 6 plus 6. 5 minus 2 is 3. Now that there's one number inside the parentheses, I am done with the P step. There are no exponents. I will now multiply it, and it's always like a book, left to right. So I see there's nothing in between these two parentheses. That's 3 times 6. There's nothing in between that number and parentheses. That's another 6 times 3. Then we have 18 plus 18. And we have our final answer. Here we go again. P. There are no parentheses this time. But I do notice I have a fraction where I have more than one number on top. I have one number on bottom, which is great, but I have more than one number on top. So kind of in this P step, I'm going to make sure my fractions have one number on the numerator and one on the denominator. So I'm going to go ahead and do 12 minus 2 to be 10. And now we'll continue. E for exponent, I do see one over here. 3 squared is 3 times 3. Done there. I don't see any multiplication. I see division because there's a fraction. So I'll divide that. 10 divided by 5 is 2. And now I just have some addition, which we always go left to right like a book. 9 plus 2 is 11. Plus 6 is 17.